Give us every single speck of a detail.
The bottom line is I was 250 pounds. I always wanted to be thin. It was never about self-loathing. It was about, I know that I can be better.
Talk to us about the way you look at beauty because it's unique.
Those are non-negotiables. Lord, so good.
It is sacrifice. And I almost think we overcomplicate it so much.
I think human nature is to put logic behind something that's just illogical.
People are scared of it.
And I think like social media it romanticizes that because everything is put into just such a highlight reel.
We want it now.
I live by good, better, best.
Yes.
A confident woman triggers people like nobody's business.
Michael's mind is about to be blown.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Katie is in studio. She's going to rock everyone's world on all things beauty procedures, skincare, and makeup, and on makeup for 40 plus, which I'm so excited to get into. But first, I want to get context of your story. And we were just talking off air about a transformation you have. So let's start there. Talk to me about what you were living like pre this life.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I always struggled with weight, you know, from the time that I was really little. I grew up in the 80s with the like sugar-free era fat-free era. Everything was fat-free. I remember my mom brought home like a 5-pound thing of Sour Patch Kids because it says a fat-free food. And we could snack out of that because it was fat-free. So I developed really early on, like just a sugar addiction. And I mean, I think that's really common anyway, but just wrestling with weight and never being given really defined tools on, okay, here's a clear path on how you lose weight. So it was just kind of like fumbling through. Just, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to just not eat or like just do boiled chicken. And then I would go off and binge and I just could not figure it out. I got like the workout aspect pretty early on, but like you can't outwork a bad diet, you know that. And so, I got to my biggest, I was 250 with my son and I was like, I'm miserable. I'm absolutely miserable. So I gave birth. I remember going in to give birth and my husband was like, oh my God, you weigh more than I do. It's like, I know. So I gave birth and then I just got a notebook. I got a calculator and calculated how many calories it took to be at that weight. At the time, it was like 233. Like, how many calories am I taking in at 233? And I just subtracted 500 a day. I knew that 3,500 calories is a pound. So 500 calories a day for a week, that's a pound a week. I knew that was like a safe way to lose. And I just kept a notebook and a pencil on the kitchen table. And I would be like, I'm going to eat an apple. And then I would go to like this physical dictionary that had calories and like search through and be like, apple, 72 calories and write it. And if I couldn't find the calories for something, I wouldn't eat it. But I would have ice cream or I could look up like Taco Bell and have one taco. I mean, nothing was really healthy at that point. It was just like, I'm going to stay here. And then it organically advanced into what it is today. But like, it definitely wasn't like that 15 years ago.
How did you know to count the calories this way? Like, did you have a resource or a coach or anybody that was teaching you this, or just your own research?
Yeah. So I went to Texas Tech and I actually worked in the fitness and wellness center. And I mean, because I always wanted to be thin, and fit, but I just didn't know. I mean, I knew that, but I like never had put it into practice. I just thought I could do it without being like really rigorous. And at the time, like there wasn't MyFitnessPal. There was a website called Spark People that I kind of got on eventually that would help me, calculate this. But I just picked up that information from working there. Because I would do the caliper testing on people, like the skin fold, like on the back of their arm and like give them their body fat composition.
When you look back on that period of time, because I gained 60 pounds with both my kids too, and it's really hard being in the industry. I know maybe you weren't in your industry yet, but loving beauty and wellness and all these things and gaining so much weight and having truly an identity crisis. I mean, I feel looking back, I feel sad for myself. I didn't have the tools like it seems you didn't have either. I was ignorant on how to lose weight. And I don't want to say I was depressed, but I was not my best self in a lot of ways. And I kind of look back with sadness on that area. Do you have the same vibe?
Yeah, I look back and I feel like, oh, if only, like, if only you knew. I mean, there was a part of it, I think, that I just wasn't willing to make some sacrifices either. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to party. I wanted to like do all the things, but I also wanted to be skinny. But like they didn't go hand in hand. And so knowing that I lacked some discipline, that really was a factor, a big factor. But yeah, I feel bad for that girl that was judged a lot for that. I mean, I was in the industry as a professional makeup artist, and you're around models and like beautiful women all the time. And I do remember being just in the background constantly. And that was okay. Like I do have a heart for that. Like I love to serve and it was nice. But like there is a difference to be completely invisible.
If you were to give yourself at that moment, coming out of the hospital, 3 tips of what to focus on now with everything you know, what are those tips?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say give yourself like a lot more time than you think.
Yep. It takes 3 years.
Yes, I think that one of the biggest mistakes is putting this like super, super short timeline on things. And that makes it just so much harder because everything takes at least 1.5 times, if not 2-3 times longer than you anticipate.
By the way, I think that's not just for health and fitness. I think that's for everything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's literally for everything.
Yeah. Business,
Everything.
all the things.
Yeah. I think we're really, as humans, we're not good at contextualizing how much time it takes to build something worthwhile and to build, confidence and to build something great or to make changes in your life. I think we want it now.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we don't give ourselves enough time and then we get discouraged because we haven't given ourselves enough time. You don't see results quick enough and then you give up. But I think it's like a cycle a lot of people get on.
Yeah. And I think like social media it romanticizes that because everything is put into just such a highlight reel. Mm-hmm. And we think, oh, wow. I mean, I still have to tell people that was over 15 years.
So what are your other tips that you would tell yourself?
I would say you can't have it all while you're building, while you're going for that goal, there will be sacrifices. And, it wasn't until I said, okay, I am going to have to sacrifice some things because this is the most important thing to me. And when I was able to let down maybe some of the social aspects of life in order to pursue this other thing, which for me was physical fitness, then I was able to get a grasp on it. But I was trying to hold on to everything. And while I was doing that, I wasn't able to really achieve my goals.
And we have friends, a lot of single friends still. And they like say, oh, I see you guys in the gym. I want to get in the gym, and I want these results, but I still need to like go out and be able to drink like 2-3 nights a week. And I'm like, well, I'm not judging, telling you what to do, but it's just, it's impossible to go and get what you're telling me you want while also behaving that way. And they're like, well, the arguments, well, then I can't have fun. I can't enjoy life. And I'm like, yeah, but you're telling me that you're not happy in your life right now. And you're not willing to do this. So I think it's like a lot of the times people are just, to your point, unwilling to look at themselves in an honest way and say like, some of these behaviors just aren't ever going to map out.
Like it's deferred, enjoyment. Mm-hmm. If what you're doing now requires you to sacrifice the other things that you want, I just would look at it like, well, it's just deferred. I'm going to be able to have those things. I just can't right now.
I like how Melissa Wood Health says, how bad do you want to feel good?
Yeah.
It's like you do have to sort of like look, I would write everything down that's important to you and maybe prioritize what's the most important to you.
Yeah.
Because it is sacrifice. You mentioned earlier off air, you said something like you I don't know if you said you had sex with the lights on or the lights off. What did you say?
It was the opposite. There's a lot of people that were like, well, not only like the weight loss, but even, plastic surgery or, filler or anything aesthetics. Like how bad must you have hated yourself to totally, you're unrecognizable. That's what people say. And I go, it's the opposite. I've been married 17 years and we've never had sex with the lights off, even at my heaviest, at my worst, because it was never about self-loathing. It was about, I know that I can be better. When you found your partner and you're together and it transcends that, it's only fuel to pursue better because there's a safety, like a level of safety. I think some people want a partner that's going to challenge them to be their best. But for me, finding my husband and being able to be like, no, I'm fully known and fully loved this way. But like now I can, there's not a sense of urgency to be like, oh my gosh, I have to lose weight or he'll leave. Like that wasn't there. It was okay. Now I can focus on doing, and if it takes longer, that's fine. He's not going anywhere. It was just a different dynamic.
That's really interesting that you say that because I had sex with the lights on at 10 months pregnant when like I feel like your penis popped my water. Like that is how fucking pregnant I was, okay?
I'm here to serve.
The lights were on. It was like, have you ever seen Road Trip? Where the little skinny guy is having sex with like the huge obese person. Like that was me on top of Michael. I'll never forget his face. And he was like not built like this when I was 10 months pregnant with my first baby. It was like skinny Road Trip with.
Was this what did it? Like this is how he had to.
He had to gain some muscle from doing me doggy.
Yeah.
But I totally get what you're saying. I think that helps when you have a partner that's supportive of the journey and not so much focused on the destination all the time.
Well,
right.
On a tangent here, I think sometimes couples struggle when people decide to make the changes that you made. Right? A lot of times like couples get comfortable with each other and then one person decides they want to make a change. People are like, how do you know what I mean? It's like this whole thing to manage. And we've seen relationships kind of go sideways when one person says, hey, I'm going to like change my lifestyle or change my habits or whatever. How did that manifest in your relationship? It sounds like you guys are still together, but.
Oh yeah. It's great. And he's so funny. So I joke about my husband. He's the world's best confidence, warranted or not. I mean, and I always say, when someone loses a limb in the war and it's called phantom limb, he has phantom high school body. It was gone. It's gone. He lost it a long time ago, but the man still sees it. And I'm like, do you dream in your high school body? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Like when he looks at himself, like he walks by the mirror and he like looks over with his man boobs and he's like, I still got it. Like he's so confident. And there is something that like you're just like, yeah, you do. Like there is something about that.
It's
like
attractive. The confidence is attractive.
I believe what you're selling me. But like I said, this journey has been a while, but I remember, a couple times, like, I was a stay-at-home, I still worked as a freelance artist, but I'm not getting ready for the job. So I'm really with the kids a lot. Then when I would go to my job, I'm not getting dressed up, but I remember one of the first times, like, okay, I'm going out, I'm getting dressed up and my body was really changing at this point. And he wasn't coming with me. And he walks out and he looks at me and his eyes, he does that, like the once over.
Husbands need to do that more often. You could do the once over more often. Go on.
Agreed.
Give it a little. Okay. I want the once over twice.
Let's focus on the guest, Lauren. Don't worry about me.
Give him a tip or two.
So, and I can see him like his wheels are turning because I'm going out for fun, going out with friends or whatever. And he kisses me goodbye and he says, as I'm leaving, remember, I married you when you were fat.
That's a good reminder, though. It feels like it's sweet.
Yeah, like don't trade me in. Remember, I was there. I've been there.
He's a confident guy.
Yeah, he's so confident. But I mean, there is always, I think I think even though he's very, very secure, there is always like okay, well, we've been through it all. Like, just remember, like I put in the time. So, but yeah, he's been great. And I think he's definitely part of my story.
Something that is a non-negotiable for me is if I'm going to use deodorant, it has to be natural. I do not want something that is full of a bunch of chemicals and parabens underneath my arms, especially by the lymphatic system. So there's this deodorant. It's called Salt and Stone deodorant. The scent that I like the best, they have 4, is called Bergamot. And it's absolutely amazing because not only is it free of aluminum and parabens, it's also high performance. So I obviously like to lift weights. And with lifting weights, you want to smell good. So this is an amazing deodorant if you're really active. I also like how they use seaweed extract and hyaluronic acid to moisturize the skin so you don't get those like little red bumps underneath your arms. They also have probiotics in them to help neutralize odor, which I think is really, really genius. You should also know that they have a body mist version. So what you can do with this is you can just enhance your scent on the go. So I put the body mist in my car so I can use it before and after the gym. And then I'll just have the deodorant in my like vanity area so I can just grab it and use it. Visit saltandstone.com and use code SKINNY at checkout for 15% off your first purchase. That's SALTANDSTONE.com, code SKINNY, and you get 15% off your first order. Visit saltandstone.com and use code SKINNY at checkout for 15% off your first purchase. Saltandstone.com, code SKINNY. You may have heard me talk about my daily non-negotiables on past episodes, one of which is a morning walk with my son. So after I wake up, I try to make the bed, I hydrate with an electrolyte water, and I do my quick wellness and skincare routine. I make my kids breakfast. Then my son and I go outside for a walk. So he's in the stroller and I'm doing a walking meditation. We get in our morning light and movement in, and we love it. It's like a habit stack if I've ever seen one. And during those morning walks, I'm wearing Nike, specifically my Indy bra and my Nike Motiva walking shoes. The bra is so supportive. In fact, it comes in different support levels. So you can get like low, medium, or high support depending on the size of your boobs or preference. Plus, the bra has adjustable straps and is so comfortable. Nike's Motiva walking shoes are smooth, they're cushioned, they're comfortable, they're great for like a daily walk. And what I like about them is they give you optimum support for every move every day. I have plantar fasciitis, and these are amazing for that. Both the Indy bra and the Nike Motivas are the move. The Indy bra just sculpts your body in a perfect way. I feel like we've been talking a lot lately about tailored, well-fitting clothes. And this is it when it comes to athletic wear. Another thing that I love is they're both so durable. So you're getting high quality, flattering apparel that you can wash and wear over and over again. You'll just keep reaching for these staples just like me. Shop now at Nike.com. Again, that's Nike.com. Your home should be a place that you are detoxing, not retoxing. I had a friend come on the podcast and he told me the importance of making your home a place that you detox. And the main thing that I have found that helps me detox in my home is to have products in the house that are free of fragrance and hormone disruptors. So I switched my entire cleaning supplies situation to Branch Basics. I have to tell you that if there was one thing that I could like wave a wand and have everyone in the world do for their home, it would be to switch to Branch Basics. Everything is safe enough to use around you, your babies, your pets. I have 2 little dogs that are really close to the ground, so this really matters to me, especially if you have a baby crawling on the ground. You don't want to use a bunch of toxic products. They have a premium starter kit, and I got this and it replaced all my harmful cleaning products in the home in one swoop, which I love. Branch Basics also has, and this is a good one, they have a luxurious gel hand soap. So I put this in my kids' room, and this is made with only the safest ingredients to nourish the skin. I actually had my blood tested and I was high in triclosan, and that's found in a lot of like over-the-counter soaps. And to know now that my kids have clean soap is really important to me. Save 15% on your starter kit or Branch Basics new hand soap when you use code SKINNY. Go to branchbasics.com. Use code SKINNY. Again, that's code SKINNY for 15% off when you purchase a starter kit or their new gel hand soap.
Well, the reason I brought it up is, some people decide to make certain changes that it almost like threatens the dynamic of the relationship, and people feel like almost in a way like they're being left behind. I think it takes a confident person to say, hey, I'm not being left behind. I'm still here. But I think you get to a point sometimes where like, if you're happy with yourself and you love yourself, great. But that's how I think about everything too, is like, I don't feel good about myself when I know I could be better if I made certain sacrifices or decisions to be better.
Yeah.
Like I feel out of integrity, not with any, but just with myself, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely.
And like, as I become a dad, I think about, okay, like I could not do this certain thing, or I could eat this certain way, but that's an example. And I know I could be better. So it makes me not feel great about myself if I know I'm phoning something in that I could be doing better. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I live by good, better, best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Oh, so I mean, I learned this as a newlywed. And it was just like, you make a good choice, like good between good and bad choices, And then once you grasp that, then it's like, okay, what can I do better? Like, what's a way to elevate this? And then once you get to a point, it's what's the best thing here? What's that best decision for me that's really going to help either, propel the situation or, get me to the next step, the next goal, whatever. And so I think that that's what you're saying, especially when you become a parent. It is no longer just completely, isolated to how does this affect me? But now affects this like whole little orbit of humans. And so
yeah, you don't want to live in a constant state of shame.
Yeah.
But I do believe this is going to be a clip.
Michael's a fourth Japanese.
I do believe that a little shame can go a long way, and people should embrace a little more shame in their lives.
I'm like, oh my God, my mouth tape's sold out. He's like, well, hopefully it sells out when you get it back in stock again.
Let me elaborate.
Like, can I get an A+ here?
Can I enjoy this moment?
No.
Let me elaborate on the point. Like, I think we live in a time now where people are like, let's disregard all forms of shame and just love everything about ourselves. And if they're being honest with themselves, a lot of the time, it's like, no, maybe you should be ashamed of the way you're behaving or the things you're saying or the way you're eating or the way you're carrying yourselves or not holding it. Like, I think, again, I am quarter Japanese and shame was abundant in our household. But I think people have shied so far away from having shame that they then have just like given themselves carte blanche to engage in so many bad behaviors and then say like, I can feel good about this. Like, no, like sometimes like embrace it, feel a little bit bad about yourself. Like the shame is a signal to you that, you could maybe be a little better.
No, I love that. I do. I think it's a barometer for, how well you're living.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer isn't to find a way to like kind of anesthetize yourself from any feeling of bad, but it's to go, hey, this is just a signal that maybe I need to investigate what I'm doing and say, is this appropriate? And you weigh it, right? Like you take it and you're like, okay, but I'm not willing to do what it takes to not feel this way. So I will have to live with that little bit of shame then. Because and like you're saying is a little self-confrontation never
like
hurt
last
anyone,
night, Lauren was putting the kids down to bed and I snuck down to the kitchen and I dove into this honeycomb ice cream.
It's so good. Honeycomb, it's raw, real egg. And
listen, it's like
milk,
you can have. I was like,
so
Michael,
local.
treat
it's
yourself.
like Van something.
Yeah, I was like, treat yourself. Have a little ice cream. I ate the whole fucking cart, and I was like, you know what? This was not good. This was like, I didn't need to do this. I was like,
Shameful
I got rid of the evidence. I threw it away. I didn't let you see it, and I was like, I should not feel so. Like I knew like treating yourself is one thing. Being gluttonous is a different thing. You know what I mean? And so I was like, okay, in that instance, like if I have to hide the ice cream cart from Lauren so she doesn't come down.
Little backstory. Okay. If he got an A, his mom said, why isn't this an A+?
No, not my mom, but
I want to know when you were doing your transformation, what exercises that you were doing. Because you talked about food, and I've seen you post your workouts. Talk to us about that.
So when I very first started, I think I was 233. And I just started with the calorie counting and I lost way more than the pound a week. And that's just an indicator that I was eating above and beyond even maintenance level at 233. And so at the time we were really like hard up for money. I mean, it was tight and I got close to 200, but I said, I'm low on calories now. At this point, because I kept dropping. And I said, I asked my husband, can I get a gym membership and go? And if I go, I have to go twice a week. And if I don't, like, then you can take it back. Like if this is an expense that we can't, figure out or whatever. So he said, okay. And so I started with spin class. And then slowly but surely, I started doing just different weight exercises that were like group fitness. And I did that for a long, long time, group fitness. And then I would say probably 2018, I was bidding on like weightlifting for just like charity. And it was like a 2-week weightlifting, like Olympic weightlifting class. And I was just like, okay, I'll, it's for charity, whatever. So I went and it was you could go as many times as you wanted in those 2 weeks. So I went every day. And I was like, this is really boring because I had gotten into that like adrenaline, like having to do really high intensity all the time from the classes and just cardio. And this felt like a lot of standing around. Like your heart rate would get up really high when you're doing it, but I'm like, this is so boring. But even after those 2 weeks, I had like 4 people tell me, like, what are you doing? Like, I can see definition, which I myself couldn't see, but other people were noticing. And I'm like, damn it, it's working. And so I just bit the bullet and was like, okay, I'm gonna try doing this. And then I fell in love with weightlifting.
Why do you think there is such pushback with weightlifting? Because I had very similar experience with you. I feel like you and I have had a lot of parallels. I was against weightlifting too. I was like, I don't want to bulk up, but it shrinks your body composition. But I notice online, because I get DMs about it, and I'm sure you do too, it's like people are scared of it.
Yeah, it's really weird. I think that we're indoctrinated to think that, I mean, I don't know. I even thinking in movies, you see women running and doing the Stairmaster, and
Yeah.
you don't really see like the main character going in and like squatting.
Yeah.
Like it's just not something, my generation for sure didn't. I mean, we were like jazzercise and like all the cardio stuff.
Don't you think to me, it lowers my cortisol too? Well, like I can feel like a dopamine release.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that helps you lose weight. And I almost think we overcomplicate it so much. Like you have to like run at this incline on the elliptical. It's like you almost need to just stop and take a beat and lift. And like you said, it's a little bit of standing around.
I think a lot of men, when they hear women saying, I don't want to do this because I'm going to bulk up, is like the funniest thing ever, because we work for years and years to try to bulk up just a little bit. And like, it takes so much time, and many don't even ever get there. And like, you have these women who are like, I better not work out because I'm just going to get so big and huge and strong. And you're like, what are you talking? Like, it takes so long.
It is. It's so comical. And if they only knew, when they see women that are so jacked, how much work it takes for even, for a woman, like you said, a man for one, but even a woman is that much harder.
It took me 3 years to put on like 20 pounds of muscle, 3 years. And that's with me actively trying to do that. And so like, it's funny, like, you know what I mean? Like it's, and I'm trying to bulk up.
Yeah.
And so when I hear women say that, and every guy's different, but it's like, maybe even if you really try, maybe 5 to 10 pounds, but you're not going to look, it's going to shrink you because the skin's going to be tighter to the muscle.
I mean, everything changed when I lifted weights. And I remember what I would do is be like, well, it's not working. Let me just do more cardio. And I mean, I was talking to my dad. My dad's an internist, and actually like really into exercise science. But he's very matter of fact. Like the man he's no social skills, he doesn't know how to sugarcoat anything. But I was talking to him and he said, you're triggering your appetite. He goes, slow down, stop doing too much. He goes, do you know who can combat that ability to overeat once they do cardio to the level that you're doing it? He's like, they're called Olympians. They know how to translate that type of, working out, and then know how to eat. Like you're a mere mortal. You are triggering your appetite. And then I'm like ravenous and I'm trying to eat lean, but I'm so hungry. And that just clicked for me. And I was like, I am triggering my appetite because I'm starving.
Because you were doing so much cardio, you would get so hungry. And then
yes, starving. So then you start eating. And the funny thing is, I saw this woman on like TikTok saying that meat and protein and lifting is like Ozempic. Like it does the same thing that Ozempic does. It keeps you full, satisfied, satiated, and you lose weight. And I think a lot of people don't realize that a lot of protein with weightlifting, that it has so many benefits. Did you notice the benefits of your skin? I've really noticed my skin is tighter to my muscle, which looks youthful.
Yeah, I tell women that all the time, that is one of the best things that they can do for cellulite and, just shrinking everything up, because it does. And, to your point, when you work out and you're using, you're running and doing cardio, and then you're trying to eat a high protein diet. But when you do cardio, you're burning sugar. So you're going to crave sugar. And I already was this sugar addict.
So you need the carbs too, huh?
Yeah, because it was triggering this depletion in my body, which I was depleting it. And then your body just naturally is going to crave whatever you're losing. Well, if I want to eat a higher protein diet, then, lifting weights, it does make you crave it a little bit more, because that's what you're expending when you're working out.
Yeah, it's funny. There's like an old trick for people that are trying to cut or get leaner. And when you have, I don't want to say it's an appetite suppressant because it's not, but it satiates your appetite. Where like if you all of a sudden get super hungry at night, instead of going into the fridge and grabbing a bunch of carbs or bad food,
Or honeycomb ice cream.
You would go and have like, I've done this too. You go and have just water with like 50 grams of protein in a powder. You shake it up. If you drink that, you will not be you will not want those carbs after because it's so much protein.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a way for a lot of bodybuilders and people that are trying to cut and not get that kind of carb intake or those calories to just like immediately satiate themselves, but with protein instead of the other stuff. And I think like for anyone listening, if they get to that point and they're super hungry, like try that and you'll see like, oh shit, I'm not that hungry anymore.
do that before I go to an event or a party. I'll take a protein and froth it up with fiber powder and drink that so I can make choices that are positive.
Such a good idea, actually.
I mean, any event where I have to be out or a happy hour. And then also if you're drinking, at least you have like some protein in your system. What are some little skinny hacks, tips, tricks that you do?
Oh, that's a good one. That is it. Just keeping healthy snacks, pre-made food for one. I used to not eat breakfast at all, and I do eat when I wake up. I still like to, just from years of doing it, I still like to work out on an empty stomach. It's just
same.
But getting that food in within an hour of working out really does help. I don't do a lot of I wouldn't say I'm necessarily protein heavy. I do still keep pretty balanced diet at this point. Just because I still love to do HIIT workouts and things like that. So I still have a place for carbs. But I won't naturally grab protein. Like that's not just that is something that I have to be extremely intentional about. I always eat the protein first on my plate, even like over like the micronutrients, just because I know that, I mean, I would still even rather have fruit and vegetables over protein. So just making sure that I'm always intentional with the protein.
You are also really intentional about your beauty routine, which you guys have to go look at Katie's Instagram. You are one of the most meticulous, methodical people that I've come across when it comes to beauty. And I don't mean I don't mean that in a vapid way at all. You're just thoughtful behind the process of it. And I appreciate anyone that takes a minute and a beat to edit things and refine it. And I think that you do a really good job. What are some beauty procedures that you think are absolutely amazing? What are ones that you don't like? Talk to us about the way you look at beauty because it's unique.
Yeah. So, I always am looking through things as the eyes, like through the lens of a consumer, first and foremost. Like, is this what I would spend my money on? Because in the early days, it was like no nails, no, I'm not doing like everything's going into my skin. Like when we were on, major budget, I didn't want clothes. Like this is where it's going. And so I always think that above anything, skin, like treatments that affect skin quality are top tier. So, lasers, things that fight pigment, things that are going to induce collagen, those are non-negotiables. And
which ones? You have to tell us brands.
So like microneedling, whether it's radio frequency microneedling, like skin pin microneedling.
I just booked him an appointment. He has no idea. He's getting salmon semen all over his face with microneedling. What a wife. What a wife. Go ahead. What a wife.
Wait, hold on.
What a fucking wife. Salmon semen, microneedling. No wife does that. Go ahead.
You really like
pause
honestly,
for a second here.
I feel like I need an award.
Really, truly, honestly.
Slow down here.
You don't want salmon spooge?
Well, I don't think so.
May 13th. If you don't take the appointment, I'm going to call Katie and she'll come and do it.
I will literally be here in a heartbeat.
Does microneedling hurt?
Oh, don't be a puss.
No.
Listen, guys don't have the same pain threshold.
That's true. But you do get numbed.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
It's really
Next up is your ball sack because we can't have those get saggy.
I watched this woman give birth twice. And I was like, I will never say that I'm tougher than any woman again because I saw that and I was like, there's no. If childbirthing was up to us men, we would have been done 100,000 years. It would just
Katie, go ahead. Microneedling.
Yeah, so microneedling for sure. I love like an IPL or a BBL. Those are both like Target Pigment.
Okay.
That was a game changer for me. I love that. Good skincare, obviously. I talk about skin treatments like you go to the dentist for a cleaning twice a year. But if you're not going to brush your teeth every day, like, come on, that's your skincare at home. Like, you have to be doing that. So if someone tells me I just have enough money for one treatment, I'm like, what's your skincare routine look like? And they're like, well, I use this. I'm like, put all of that money into daily care, then build up your savings and then get a treatment, because no one's going to just go to the dentist twice a year and not brush their teeth. And that's what that is.
Or like getting your hair dyed and brushing your hair and then like expecting not to brush your hair at all.
Absolutely.
Like the skincare is so important. What are the brands that you really love? You'll be surprised how many Michael know and use. I can't wait to hear what your
Well, I've
vibes.
only done 9,000 podcasts where we talk about
Yeah.
these things.
He knows. He knows. He's trained.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I have been floored with plated growth factors and exosomes. Floored. So good. I love them. And what I did a deep dive on growth factors. Nobody come for me if I do get this wrong, but I will say that where they source growth factors are really important. And what they're finding early on, they did some plant growth factors, but what they're finding is like, it looks right on paper, but it's not translating to human cells. So like in theory, it sounds good, but it's not working. It's not communicating with the human cells. So human growth factors are really good. And then I do love BioPel's growth factor, which is from snails, but it's not your Amazon snails. My friend was like, you're lying when you say this, but they're snails from Spain.
Okay.
That they harvest their mucin.
Love it.
And these snails are kind of like starfish, where you cut off an arm of the starfish and it grows back. They found that these particular snails have this like crazy exorbitant capacity to heal themselves like instantaneously. And so basically they've extracted that from the mucin, which is, I think, just technically their spit, their saliva.
Is this a brand?
BioPel.
It's called BioPel.
BioPel is the brand. And so they have Tensage 50 and Tensage 40. I didn't think that the 40 was as miraculous as the 50 was. But it's a 10-day, there's like 10 ampules. You take an ampule, divide it day and night. And I'm telling you, I mean, you have fabulous skin, so it might not blow your socks off. But at the time when I first tried it, and then people that I've gotten on it that have never used growth factors before, they're like, no, it's
What
voodoo.
is actually a growth factor? Like what? Do we know? We don't know. We don't know.
I mean,
we don't have to go down.
do
there.
we have time?
Oh.
No. Basically it's something that is going to stimulate the cell regeneration. So like TNS growth factors is from foreskin.
Love
like
it.
that's the whole, I know, I'm like, you're into
Loves
that.
it.
Yeah. So that was like, there was like this whole thing about that one.
So let me get this straight. I'm going to get salmon semen,
Mhm.
snail goo, and foreskins on my skin, and then I will be. I'll be
Like,
done.
why do you care? I don't.
Baby,
If it
glowing
makes your
baby.
skin look good, I don't care.
Let me like. I'm sitting down.
I've done worse
let me
for
just-
a lot less.
You imagine I'm like out with the guys, like, hey, Michael, your skin looks great. We're at the bar. I'm like, listen, guys, I've been putting little dick on my face. And,
I can't wait for that
and
TikTok
also
clip that
been
you
rubbing
just
some
did.
fish semen, and also I got this snail goo from Spain, and I am on point. The guys will be like, "Yeah, nice. That's all good."
What are
That's all
other-
No,
good."
they're into it. Everybody's going to
Yeah,
run
they're
and do
gonna-
it. If you do it, they'll do it.
They will do
That's
it.
true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Do it.
I am a trendsetter.
You
I
are.
guess. Yeah.
Oh.
Carson, you in if I do it?
Yeah, I'm in. Why not?
What are the specific brands that you like? Like, are you a SkinCeuticals girl? Like, what's your vibes?
So let me think what I'm using right now. I am using the plated in the morning. I use the Isden oil cleanser
Okay,
and then a Revision foaming face wash afterwards to
Okay.
like wipe off the residue.
you have revision. I like this. Keep going.
Yeah. And then let's see, growth factor, what else? I am using a tretinoin. And then so for nights, I'll sometimes throw in an azelaic acid, which I absolutely love. It's really good for sensitive skin. I feel like it gives a glow. I love a lactic acid also. I think it hydrates the skin and exfoliates it. I think it's just a beautiful product.
And what's the brand?
The one that I use for the azelaic acid is Ondew, AN.DEW.
Okay.
It's lovely.
Okay.
And then lactic acid, just different ones. I have a couple.
You'll have to post all your stuff.
I
You'll have
will.
to send us a link. I want to talk to you about your mother. You have
Okay.
posted the most beautiful Instagram clip, and I'll let you explain it, that went viral.
Yeah.
I actually think this is so weird. That's how I found you and went to your page, maybe. I don't know
Oh.
if it was through beauty.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the one that people picked up where am I talking to her about herself?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I had actually seen someone do that where they were talking to them. So it's been a journey learning like all about the disease. My mom has advanced dementia. There were symptoms of it when she'll be 82 this year. So my mom had me at 40. It was a complete accident. She was going in for a hysterectomy. They were like, "You're pregnant." So
You're a miracle
totally
baby.
unexpected. Yeah. My brothers are like 15 and 17 years older than me. So
Wow.
totally. So yeah. So she's going to be 82, and at about 70, we started seeing a little bit of signs, and they did an MRI on her brain, and there were like 40 like pieces of evidence where there was calcification on her brain, which they say is like mini strokes that nobody had ever experienced with her. But that was kind of an indicator of where we were headed. So it's been a long time coming. And I would say that in the last 3 years, there's been a deep decline to where she doesn't know who I am anymore. Dad was having a really hard time, like taking care of her alone. So at the beginning of 2023, they moved in with us.
Wow. What has that been like?
It's been crazy.
Yeah.
It's been really hard, but also at the same time, like so wonderful. My dad was really driven in my youth, wasn't necessarily around, like not in a negative way, but just very career oriented, and grew up in kind of there's the breadwinner and that's what I do. And the mom does this role kind of partnership, really. Mom was a stay-at-home mom. And so to see him in the role of caregiver and just loving her so well and being so patient, because with dementia, I mean, there are the sweet times, but there are the really difficult times. Like she throws temper tantrums and all kinds of things. And to see him just be so loving, and it's a different human than I've ever experienced. And it's really, really, really sweet. And so I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for this opportunity to meet someone that I didn't even know was in there.
So what is this viral video? Explain what you did, because it's beautiful. You guys have to go watch it.
So again, yeah, I did get off on that. So basically I saw like people were telling me, and like from the books I've read and the experts I've talked to, is really don't necessarily remind them that they're forgetting. You don't want to do that. That's going to aid in like their confusion and give them anxiety. And so I saw someone basically telling her mom about her mom. And I thought that was so cute and so special. And so I decided that I was going to do that with mom. And I was just going to record it, really mainly I'm trying to record moments with her. My brothers, I have 3 brothers, and so they're not here. So just opportunities to like give them pieces of how mom's doing and things like that. So recorded it, and I think it just touched people.
And you told her all about who she was when she was young.
Yeah, just sharing with her the mom that I knew as a child.
And what was that? And because if people haven't watched, what was her response to it?
You could see glimmers of recognition sometimes where, oh, I like that. I should meet her. I think what got me the most is at the very end, she says, "Does she look like you?" Which was like, I'm like, yeah, she does,
Oh.
So it was really sweet. And then my daughter came in at the very end, and
how do your kids respond to it?
It's hard a lot.
Yeah.
Like they get frustrated because they see her get frustrated with my dad, but
Yeah.
then they're there to witness all of his like selfless love.
Yeah.
And how old are the kids?
My kids are 15 and 11.
Okay, so they're old enough to kind of like comprehend.
Yeah, but I think still I think human nature is to put logic behind something that's just illogical.
Yeah.
And so they really want to try to be like, "No, Mima, he's been here." Because she'll think like, He's got a woman on the side. He's out sleeping with someone.
Does she remember him?
She does occasionally. I mean, there's highs and lows. It's very much like a flickering light bulb.
Yeah.
And so there's moments where she'll say, that's my husband. Or is he your husband? Which grosses me out. And I'm like, no, that's yours.
So how do you manage as a family if she gets into a space where she's maybe unsure of who's around her and where she is? Like, what do you tell her to make her feel better?
So one of the things I think that's helpful for my mom is that she's so Southern Belle polite.
She remembers that kind of stuff.
She does. It's ingrained in her.
Yeah.
Like the people pleasing, the really nice. So even though she doesn't really know, she's super, for the most part, like really polite about things. Like she doesn't want to be, she's like Emily Post, the rules. She doesn't want to not say something right. And so I can pick up on cues and like kind of be like, we're here, at your daughter's house. Jim is here. He's just not in the room, things like that. But there is a level of familiarity now that has kind of come over time that it's inexplicable to her, but she knows that she's in a safe place.
And is she in good health other than the dementia?
She is. The dementia, I mean, yes, the dementia does, like, there's little like arms of dementia that's weird. So she has something called gait apraxia, which if you've seen like little old ladies or little old men that they shuffle when they walk, that's gait apraxia. It's like, really, I don't know how far to take a step. I'm really unsure of the step. So it's almost like a depth perception thing. So she shuffles when she walks, and she gets really bad vertigo sometimes. And it looks scary, but it's really just like she's dizzy.
When this is all going on with your mom and dad living in your house, when did you launch this career that you've had? Because I feel like I don't know, you could tell me better. I feel like you have really grown in the last year.
Yeah.
As a creator.
Yeah. So I started when my career ended in 2020, like everybody else's.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, well, I'll just get on and make some tutorials and things like that. And it was fine. But the beginning of 2022, I started with 2,000 followers and then ended 2022 with like 150.
That's
wow.
wild. That's huge
crazy.
Growth. You know that, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it was
really
crazy.
wild growth. No, I think one thing about you is that I've seen from afar is everyone will like ask me like, oh, like what should I do to break in? And it's like, you have to find something that makes you really niche and unique. And I think you've done a good job of that. And one thing that I think is so interesting about you is you explain to women over 40 how to apply makeup, because a lot of women are applying makeup wrong and it's working against them. It's actually making them look older. You and I talked, when you put too much makeup on and you're over 40, it doesn't look good. You actually need less makeup.
Absolutely.
So I would love for you to talk about that and how, if that is the way that you broke in, because it's super unique.
Yeah. So I definitely I'll say the closer I got to 40, the more I was like, this shit looks really bad. And I know how to do makeup. Like, no, I was just like, this is like, I know what I'm doing. And this is like not, I was stuck. Like, I'm like, I was using Double Wear and that looks great.
Double Wear, Michael, is a really heavy foundation. Michael,
I'm
just go along the
right.
right.
I'm gonna try to keep up.
Go along.
But I will say one of the things that was pivotal for me was I was on a shoot for Crunchyroll, which is a division of anime. It's a division of Sony for anime.
I can talk about Crunchyroll for a while. If you guys
there you
go.
So a girl was on there. She was, sitting in. She was the actress, like going to do a countdown of the best anime or whatever. And so I'm talking to her. I'm like, is this your job? Like, this is your sole job? She's like, no, I work there in research and development as well. And so this was probably 2021, at the end of 2021. I said, oh, okay. And social media had always intimidated me, especially Instagram, because I would get on and everybody looked so pretty. And there was all these, like, everything was curated like to a T. And I'm like, this is just like, I don't know how to post. Like, I felt this is not me. And so I just didn't do it. And not even like, especially not in a capacity to be influential. So she said, well, you know what changed after 2020 was that everybody wanted real and authentic, to the point where if they could tell that a video was taken with a video camera and not a phone, it didn't go as far in the viral space. So she's talking to me, this thing like in my brain goes, no, if that's what people want, I can do that. I can show up without the filter. I can do. That other stuff intimidates me. Having to like think of all the fonts and everything look the same on the page. Like I can't do that. But if you just want who I am, I can do that. And so once that shift changed, I wasn't worried really about what I looked like or how it was presented. It was really just like, I have a message to get across. And this is a resource for people that, have hired me, and I can go back and watch this video. So it was really going to be just kind of this library for my clients that hired me over 40 to go, okay, I can't keep coming over to your house to show you the same thing. Go watch this video. Now you already have the tools. This is how you apply. And that I think resonated with people.
What mistake are people over 40 making when it comes to beauty? Give us every single speck of a detail.
Is it people like specific? Like it has to be over 40?
You could say it better than me.
I think 40 is a place that even if you've done fillers, Botox, all the things, 40 is a point where your skin definitely does just start breaking down. Like your elasticity that breaking down of elasticity is really starting to rear its ugly head. And I think that the number one mistake is full coverage foundation. I always tell women, I go, in your quest to completely cover every spot and vein, you have now traded one problem for another because now all I see is foundation. But in your eyes, you're saying, oh, I don't see that spot anymore. But you're not seeing what the rest of us are seeing. And the rest of us would probably rather see a freckle or an age spot than like this layer of, impenetrable shellac. And so it gets even more problematic as you become 40 and over because you have now more creases, more wrinkles, more, texture on your skin. Because babies like shed their skin like every 14 days. Like that's why you get baby soft skin, right? So the older you get, that cell turnover rate starts to slow or get off from each other. So when that happens, you have differences in the skin texture. It just, even if it's not like overt, you're just going to start to see it. And so that's why skincare is so important. It's imperative that you're turning over those skin cells. But also just the fact is, you're just not going to have that baby smooth skin anymore.
Also, I like how the matte look makes you look older too. Can you go off on that? The matte look.
I always say to people, like, kids always have that glowy, like almost sweaty look to them.
Yeah.
And like my grandma looks like powder. Like, why are we wanting to look older?
I don't like powder. I don't want powder anywhere near me.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't even like powder on my eyelid. I asked my makeup artist to put concealer on it because I look older with powder.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that that's 100% true. Like even today, I noticed that my eyelids are dry and the powder eyeshadow has picked up every little dry patch that there is.
Not on your eyes right now.
No,
I'm
but
saying it does. The eyeshadow, I think sometimes can work against you if it's too powdery.
Absolutely. And it's nuanced, right? Like there is a way to do things, but I tell people if you don't know how to do it right, then don't do it.
Right.
Like that's just, should be a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Like practice in the privacy of your own home. And then, when you nail it, then go. But like, don't just say everybody else is doing this. And that's another thing. We see a lot of the beauty influencers use a lot of heavy lighting. They use a lot of like different trickery. And I'm like, that just doesn't look good in everyday life.
It doesn't translate.
It doesn't translate. And there is something you can do a lot of things in good lighting that I wouldn't say go walk down the street with that kind of makeup.
Recently, we went on a vacation and I needed a body sunscreen, but I didn't want a body sunscreen that was super heavy and thick and like left a bunch of stickiness on me. And so I decided to test out Sun Bum, and they have this daily body. And when I put it on, it felt like it was my favorite body lotion, but obviously had SPF in it. So I put it on the morning and I would forget about it, which was amazing because we were going to lunch. We were having champagne by the pool. I didn't want to have to deal with a bunch of sticky sunscreen. This one was really nice too because I was wearing a lot of linen and like silk. And it didn't ruin my clothes, which is really important to me. But I obviously want to have sunscreen on my arms and my hands and even the tops of my feet. So to have this was incredible. Sunbum has a new daily collection that really thinks about sunscreen as a moisturizer. A daily gel, you could use this as a makeup primer. They also have a one and done like moisturizer for your face. But my favorite is the daily body. I had all my friends using it by the pool. I like set it out by the bottles of champagne. It has 24-hour hydration. This one's great too if you are driving a lot or maybe you have a stroller or you just want something for your body that has SPF 50. It's sheer invisible, which is, in my opinion, the most important thing. Visit Sunbum and use code SKINNY15 at checkout. You get 15% off your first purchase. That's sunbum.com, code SKINNY15 for 15% off your first order. One of the main things my daughter and I like to do together is we like to bake. It's like our thing. We bake cookies, we bake pumpkin roll, we bake cake, we bake all kinds of things in the kitchen together, and it's really bonding. And we have been using Caraway's baking set. And the reason that I like this set is because Caraway is made without any toxic materials. So they have no PFAS, PTFE, or PFAO, or any of those other hard to pronounce chemicals. Everything is beautiful. I have the cream set. You know, I have the cream pots and pans. I also have like the utensils, and now I have the whole baking kit. It's so cute. Chemical-free ceramic coating, so the food can be prepared with peace of mind and nothing's going to leach onto your ingredients. So, you know, if you want to make banana nut muffins like Zaza and I did the other day, you can make them and you don't have to worry about a bunch of shit getting into your muffins. You know what I mean? It's easy to clean. So you need minimal oil or butter. It like slides off the pan. Just as a reminder, their internet famous cookware set comes with the saute pan, fry pan, Dutch oven, and saucepan, plus lids for all of them, a canvas lid holder, and a magnetic pan rack for storage. It's the ultimate kitchen setup and will save you $150 versus buying the items individually. Plus, if you visit carawayhome.com/himandher, you can take an additional 10% off your next purchase. This deal is exclusive for our listeners, so visit carawayhome.com/himandher, or you can use code himandher at checkout. Caraway, non-toxic cookware made modern. What are other things that you see that people are doing that is working against them? For instance, overfilling the face, too much Botox. Like, what are things that you see that you're like, no?
Yeah, I would say that overfilling is a big thing.
Yeah.
I think there's such a stigma against surgery that people are like, let me do everything I possibly can. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why, if there's this thing that will fix what you want, that will give you a beautiful result, why not do that?
Well, also, if you actually do the math too, if you're spending money on filler every 6 months, it's actually more cost effective.
My favorite thing that I saw was, he's one of my favorite plastic surgeons because he just tells it like it is. He's just so balls out. Like, I'm just going to say it. He doesn't care who he offends.
Yeah.
But he's like, this idea that filler is going to lift the face is just fucking bullshit.
Wild.
He says, tell me this. He goes, nobody comes in for a facelift and goes, they all do this. They take their fingers and they pull at their ear. He goes, nobody comes in and goes, I want a facelift like this.
Yeah.
Where they're puffing out their cheeks. They're closing their mouth and putting air in their mouth to blow out their face. And I'm like, yes, that is not. And so you're distorting it. And a big thing, you and I were talking about it earlier, a big thing about good makeup and style and aesthetic decisions is not by treating things in isolation. It's treating things in harmony. So a lot of times, like, you know, the idea of like the perfect body isn't necessarily the size. It's the ratio of boobs to waist to hip. The same thing goes for the face. It's all about the ratio. It's how things play together. They're balanced. They're harmonious. So I think one of the biggest mistakes is women go, I don't like this. And they point to one thing and then they go treat that one thing. And now they've thrown off the balance and the harmony of their face because things aren't mathematically in line.
Or they'll be like exactly where you just pointed, the labial, whatever they're called, the folds, and they put filler there and they only treated that, and then the eye goes down. When you're looking at them, the eye goes down because the weight's down here instead of up here. It's like you're so right about the harmony. It's like the golden ratio.
Absolutely. That's exactly it. And so I think that that's the biggest problem is that's not a place that you cut corners. You don't say, well, I can only afford this. Like, then don't do it because you're throwing it off. That would be like, I can only afford one boob. They're a set. Like, just do them both. You know what I mean? Wait until you can treat your face in its entirety. Go to somebody reputable. And then also there are things that you just need to accept about aging.
Yeah.
That like you just cannot fix non-surgically or at all. And I think once you come to terms with what you can't fix and you focus on what you can, you're going to be light years ahead.
Also, another one too that I see all the time is people, they're just filling their under eye. And what happens is it squishes the eye up, which makes your eyes look smaller. So now you've like you just said, you fix the under eye, but maybe you didn't go to the best filler person and it squishes the eye up, which makes the eye look smaller.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is. And I like personally love Botox under the eye, but it does give you like a little shelf.
Huh.
Like, and I can see like when I smile, for me, that was a trade-off that I was willing to have because I do like it. But there were people that like, I don't like that. I don't like that. So that's not for you.
You also have big, beautiful eyes. So maybe you're you're the wrong person to say that. Like it's some people, maybe they have smaller eyes and they want bigger eyes, then don't get under eye filler. Do you know what I mean?
Don't get under. Yeah. So for me, the under eye filler was like not good because I already have big cheeks. And so everything was like so overfilled. And so I had to like dissolve there.
Does that hurt?
The dissolving?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know.
I feel like your eye's going to pop out
I've never done it. I've heard it hurts so bad.
It's kind of back to the shame thing. Like, okay, that should hurt. So
right.
you remember what it feels like.
Listen, don't try to draw me into this conversation. I comment on a lot of things. You think I'm going to comment on women aging in their skin and how they look with shelf eyes? I'm out. I'm fucking out.
You might have to come back so we can do a solo episode.
There will be no clips of me.
Before you go, I do want you to talk about, you've been really open about your mommy makeover. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Is it a mommy makeover? I want to make sure I'm calling it
I
the
had
right
a tummy tuck and then a breast lift with augmentation.
And so talk to me about that because there's so many people listening that are interested in that, but they feel like they can't talk about it.
Yeah, I think that's such a shame that women feel like they can't do something that would make them feel more confident. The bottom line is I was 250 pounds. I stretched out my skin. I did everything. It was not going to snap back. So I got a tummy tuck and I did the breast lift first with augmentation and I've had 4 breast surgeries like that. It was like, so that was just such a long road. And that was really hard. But the tummy tuck was life-changing just to have that gone. And there's some people that like, they think, oh, that's the easy road. I'm like, I don't care. If that gets you started on your journey to health, if you do it first, for me, it was the final piece. But I'm kind of like that. Like I'm very stubborn in the way that I wouldn't do it until I was at goal weight.
Yeah.
But I don't care. If that is what you want to do that helps you feel confident so you'll get in the gym, by all means.
Why do you think that you because you do get trolls, do you think they're just projecting insecurity onto you? What is that?
I guess, I think that a lot of times people want to find a loophole.
Right. They'll say it to me like I was open about getting air sculpt and I'll post like a gym selfie after lifting weights for 3 years, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, yeah, but you got air sculpt.
Yeah.
And it's like, air sculpt was a sprinkle on a fucking piece of cake.
Well, what people, this I will comment on. Anyone comments. This can be a wide spectrum of different things that people comment on. But what I've found and why I personally never get offended by it is most of the time it is somebody speaking into the world an insecurity that they have with a thought or a process or a practice in themselves. And whatever they're seeing is triggering something that is making them insecure in their own life. So
absolutely.
if you're putting your, like, I'll just, for example, like if you're putting yourself out there in the gym and you're getting a good result, sometimes people will comment negative things because they know they're not putting in the same effort themselves. So it's like, like they get this like verbal diarrhea where they have to like say something nasty because it's a way to justify the position they're in.
And let me be clear, air sculpt is a tool. It was a tool in my toolkit, but there's not just like nails. There's other things in the toolkit that get you there.
But to finish the
100%.
point, whenever I see mean comments online, I just think to myself, okay, that person's not in a good place. They're not happy with themselves.
Right.
And as soon as I think about it like that, I can't be upset with that person. I actually feel empathy for that person. Does that make sense? Because like, listen, like if
you're
you
so evolved.
No, but I mean, if you put yourself, if you put yourself out there,
you're like, bitch.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck you. Let's go lift, bitch.
But if you put yourself out there long enough, like at some point you're gonna realize there's a corner of the internet that's usually the loudest and most vocal.
No, 100%. And this one lady, so I do have, Lauren, you should go look at this viral video that I said, despite what people say, you don't expire after 40. And let me tell you, the men and the women that it's the vitriol in the comment section. I think you had Matthew Hussey on. He actually he saw that and then used that as a comment. Like he was like, I'm appalled at men. Like the men were like, you're expired. You're no good. If you can't give a man they turned it into something it wasn't. Mine was to like empower women, but they made it like I was on the market, which I'm not. Like I wasn't saying like, oh, here I am still available for men. So they turned it into something it was completely not.
You know what though, Katie? It's great. Go viral for that. You know what? All these guys sitting in their attic or drinking their beer, beating their meat on to Pornhub that are watching Instagram, like let it go viral. If that's what they took it as, I'm just like, I'm to the point where it's like, let me sit back and eat my popcorn.
If you're a man taking your time to do that, like you got other issues.
100%. 100%.
Like I can't imagine any of my people that I call friends or acquaintances or partners like sitting on, like if I saw one of my friends, I'd be like, what the fuck's going on? I mean, we got to go have a conversation, buddy. Like that person's also not in a good place.
No, 100%. And I didn't engage. Like the only thing that I said, which I think helped it go viral, was the first one. The guy said, you're expired. And I wrote back, not according to that picture you just DM'd me. And then that comment went viral. And then I left it alone. Like I usually only will respond if I have a good one-liner back. And then I'm like, I've done my job. Like I can leave. But
to my point is like, if you're anyone, man or woman, and you're spending your time negatively commenting online, you have way too much time. You need to go get a hobby. You need to go get a craft going. You need to go get something productive in your life. Because get
a skincare routine.
If anyone in my personal life ever catches me commenting negative things online, you need to bring me aside and be like, hey, buddy, is everything okay? Because it's not okay.
No.
There's something wrong.
You're absolutely right.
People, I understand you get upset, you see something, but like to take it a step further then and be like, I am so upset by what I see online, this person, like you're inviting negative energy into your life. And I'm not a woo-woo person, but like if whatever you put out there will come back to you in some kind of way.
But I do believe that. Like you're in that, you're just going, it's going to breed on itself. It's going to grow. Yeah. Someone sent me an article called Tall Poppy Syndrome, which is have you seen this?
I haven't, but go on. I know what this is. Go on.
So it's like from New Zealand and it's talking about like a field of poppies. And when one gets tall, they cut it down so they're all the same height. And they're like, that's what's happening. And that was pivotal for me mentally to think like, you just need me to be at your level. And so you see somebody gaining traction, and it usually is directed towards women. I think men get it. But I think women more so than anything, a confident woman triggers people like nobody's business. And to just have a woman out there that's like, I'm fine with myself. Like I was fine with myself then. I'm fine with myself now. I don't care what, like that triggers people. Just, it blows my mind. Like, I'm like, why
There's
do you
like that old quote where like people
we could do a whole podcast on that.
People are happy for you until you surpass them, you know? Like that's just.
Invite me back. I want to talk about
I know. I'm going to kick you off and talk about all kinds of weird shit.
We have a friend from Australia who first explained that theory to us about tall poppy syndrome and said that listen, I don't know if this is a big thing in Australia, but she's from Australia and she said it. She said that happens with a lot of Australian people, where like there's the tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah.
Where,
If you're
like,
from Australia, DM us and tell us if that's true.
Faith, maybe you got to tell me if I fucked that up. But she was basically saying like they cut you down if you start to kind of
To go
flourish.
too high.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this article that I read was like so good. I think it was by a lady from New Zealand.
Maybe not Australia.
But I do think it's like,
maybe not all Australian people, because I know, but she was saying that in her experience, because I don't need all of Australia to yell at me now.
no, you don't.
We love Australians.
We love Australia.
If someone is out there and wants to book a service with you, tell us how it works.
Yeah. So I do take select personal clients. I mostly work production.
Okay.
So I mostly work like TV and film and print.
But don't you also do something where you have a service that you help people find the right makeup and skin?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So you just DM me. I mean, it's in my link or whatever.
Okay.
But I answer all my DMs.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of work.
I know.
That's a lot of work.
I know. And so it might not last forever, but
Not
right
anymore,
now
you don't.
it might not last forever, but right now I do. So I definitely and here's the thing that I think what makes this service special is, first of all, going into any makeup counter, I don't care where you are, it's intimidating. Even if the salesperson does not look like she knows what she's doing. It's so intimidating because makeup in general is an incredibly vulnerable. I always tell people it's such an intimate act to do makeup on someone else.
Yeah, it is intimate.
Because
that's why I love Mackenzie, my makeup artist here. The energy's got to be right. Like it's got to. You got to have the right
you
vibe.
Can feel her vibe.
Yeah, she's great.
I love her.
Makeup by Mackenzie with the
She's
K.
amazing, and just good people. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, a woman sitting down, they're already no makeup on, which makeup is a little bit of a kind of a armor for women. And so they're coming in without makeup. They feel a little vulnerable. They're usually expressing something that they don't like, that they want covered up. Occasionally you can draw out of them, like, what do you love? Like, what can we highlight? But I would say that the majority of women start with something that they hate. Please, I hate this. Can you cover this up? Can you do this? So it's intimate, it's vulnerable. And so when you're looking for makeup, you're going in, you're already expressing what you need, what you don't like, and then you never see that person again. So you get home with this makeup and you really don't know what you're doing. And so with this service, I'm able to match you, but then we troubleshoot. Like, send me a picture back. Okay, you're putting on too much. It's really like counterintuitive. Like, we're going to break some old habits here. And that's going to take a lot of self-confrontation, being like, I feel uncomfortable with this, but that's okay. What you thought was serving you is no longer serving you. I mean, we all look back at our moms when we were kids and we would say, like, why is she still wearing that from the 70s?
Well, I think this is like, if you see a specific set of implants that people got in the 90s,
yes,
they're the bolt-on, like, a lot of spreading between the boobs.
Super high.
And you see that on someone, your brain subconsciously tells you how old they are.
Well, it's the same thing if you see a haircut from the 80s.
This is my favorite analogy.
We have to go do a podcast on this. If you see a specific acrylic manicured French tip, it's a specific one, you can also pinpoint how old someone is. So if you got to be careful with tattoos. If you see a tattoo at a certain age, you can see
you know exactly when.
It's a subconscious thing. You don't even know that you're thinking that. And so I think makeup is the same. If you're doing your makeup how you did it when you're 21 years old and you're 40 now, you have to evolve it so it actually makes you look younger. That's why I think what you're doing is genius.
Literally, you have so acutely put into words what I've been spending years trying to say, that it does. It ages you. It may not even be that's exactly it. Like, you just said it so well. It is. You nail it. It's like going in and now I see gray paint in a house. I'm like, oh, you renovated in 2000.
Or what about the blue and the yellow that everyone did in
2015?
There's like a blue and a yellow with a duck. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you go in and you see someone's house decorated like that, you can tell.
We had the pink bathroom and the blue bathroom growing up. Yes, it's the same thing. And so
it's dated.
The same goes with, so it's not only the formula, which needs to change big time, but it is also the method and the way that you do it. And I have a beautiful client. She's in her late 60s, maybe early 70s, and I love her. She's just so, like, honest, and she would, even before I went over there, she's like warning me. Like, I love my black liner all around my eyes. And I'm like, okay. And basically she's trying to tell me like, bitch, do not take away my black liner.
Did you take it away?
Well, I'm trying to be nice at this point because I actually haven't met her in person. And I go, well, we'll just see. And I go, I will give you suggestions. You can take it or leave it. But she keeps on. And I said, okay, well, send me a picture. And she sends it to me. And I just wrote back, I don't think it's doing for you what you think it is.
Yeah.
And when I went over there, I did her makeup. And of course, she put her old makeup and her new makeup side by side. And she said she sent it to like 40 people. And then she wrote me and she goes, everybody's been lying to me.
I might have to text you a couple questions. I have questions. I want you to tell me what's not working for me. I love an edit.
I'll tell you right now, there's nothing. I am obsessed with your look. You going brown, I think, was the best thing you did for yourself.
It feels a lot fresher.
I like it a lot more.
I love it.
No one can, but even if
I'm trying to voice support here, you know.
I mean, that's really
I haven't
sweet.
said anything for a while.
I mean, that's
Haven't said
really
anything
sweet.
for a while. You know?
There's something that feels, people online message me about this, like, do you miss the blonde? No. I can't
No.
believe that I'm saying that because I loved
know.
being blonde.
I was blonde.
I saw that.
And you know what was the biggest indicator? And I don't know if you feel the same way. When I was blonde, I never felt pretty without makeup. Now I love the way I look without makeup.
I felt washed out.
Yes.
For me, I'm talking about me. I'm not saying everyone who's blonde looks washed out, but also there's something about blonde for me that's giving me Paris Hilton era.
Yeah.
When she was like having her Paris moment.
Yes.
And so I feel like it made me look older.
Like you're from that, because my niece goes, Aunt Katie, blonde is chuggy.
I know, I heard that on TikTok.
And I'm like, what? I go, girl, the hottest women are blonde. Are you kidding me? She's like, not anymore. And I'm like, oh my God, she's right. She's also the one that told me that my eyebrows were anorexic and they needed help when my brows were.
Can I get her to come evaluate me?
You'll cry.
She could be an
You'll
intern.
cry.
Intern.
You will cry. But I mean, she really like the love, the like stab from a loved one.
Yeah. I give him that kind of love too.
Yeah, it's better than a kiss from an enemy.
I'm gonna age like shit. I'm gonna have all these tattoos.
No, you're not. You're gonna
look
have
at this guy. Look at this guy.
Where
Salmon
can
spooge
everyone
all
find you?
over.
I'm actually going to invite you back on for a solo episode without Michael because I could have gotten way more deep.
Listen, I dodged so many potholes on this episode, Carson. There's gonna be no clips of me going viral saying any bad things.
Yeah.
I would completely
Can we
played it safe.
manufacture one though? Because I love
played it.
those.
I played it safe.
Yeah.
People will still. I'll probably still get some.
No,
shit.
Australia is gonna have something to say to
Yeah.
you.
Well, fuck you,
We love-
Australia.
At Makeup and Skin for Katie, where can everyone find you? Pimp yourself out.
Yeah, at Makeup and Skin by Katie. It's pretty much across the board. TikTok's kind of boring, but mostly on Instagram. I mean, that's
DM
really
her.
it. DM me.
And we'll do another solo episode.
I'll
You guys.
can't
report
wait.
back after the snail exosomes. or
Thank you for
whatever.
coming
I'll
on.
see you from Dallas.